Hey man, I'm curious. Just why do you take 2 days to reply to messages? I mean, you're always on your phone. Yeah, he's right. I am one of those people. And I'm probably not the only one. Even you might be like me, where I look down at my phone and I see unreplied DMs on Instagram, 7 messages from salespeople on LinkedIn, emails that pile up on 3 different inboxes, 42 WhatsApp groups about this party and that trip, Discord mods tagging you, your Slack from work going on fire. This is why I reply after 2 days. Because I'm overwhelmed. Keeping up to all this communication now almost feels like I have another job. Today's communication is broken. And so we have 2 options. We can complain that all technology is evil and we should go back to the good old days of writing letters and sending smoke signals, or we can find out that there's actually one very specific cause to this problem. The thing that breaks modern communication. And as it turns out, there is also a solution. A light at the end of the tunnel. But it's coming from the most unexpected of places. Yep, that's a picture of Justin Bieber. And don't worry, this will all make sense very soon. But this all started with one simple thing. An experiment. I was just curious, how many apps do I have on my phone that people can use to communicate with me? And well, I counted them. WhatsApp, Google Meet, LinkedIn, SMS, YouTube email address, Hinge, Telegram, personal email address, Instagram, Zoom, Notion, Reddit, Snapchat, Discord, Facebook, work email address, Twitter, free workspaces on Slack, Loom, Bumble, Linear, 23 different ways people can reach out to me. But wait a second. Many of these apps are basically the exact same thing, just copied and pasted with minimal changes. It's text bubbles, a chat box, a send button, and some other stuff like read receipts and the ability to send attachments, but it's the exact same thing. And sure, some apps have their own little features like disappearing messages or stickers or whatever, but these dozens of apps are basically the exact same product. So why do different products in the most wildly different niches end up looking basically the same? I mean, this is Slack and this is Discord. One is used for gaming and one is used for work in serious companies. And they look basically the same. And the first part of the answer is very easy. The chat box where you type on, having different channels, attachments, these are all design patterns that over time we have all gotten used to. They just work. And having a chat app that works in a completely different way, even if theoretically it's faster or more efficient, would be too off-putting. But still, this doesn't answer the question. If all products end up looking the same, then why do we need 23 different ways of communicating that all look the same? And some have tried to address this. Apps like Beeper said, hey, probably you don't need 12 different apps. So we're gonna give you one app where you can chat in all these other different apps in one place. Even WhatsApp now is opening their app to third-party chat apps. But yeah, only because they've been forced by the EU. But as it turns out, there's a deeper reason why having 23 different ways to chat on your phone actually makes sense. And to understand why, we have to go here, in my hometown of Lazise, Italy, in 1959. Back then, my grandparents were living here. This is the church they would go to. There are bars around the town where they would go drink wine. My grandpa would go to work at a nearby factory. There's a town square, there's a football field. And in each of these places, my grandparents were communicating with people. Now, Lazise is small, so you would talk to the same people in many different places. But each place has its own rules, its own etiquette, its own vocabulary, its own vibes. Even if you were talking to the exact same people, you would talk to them differently if you were, say, at a bar on a Saturday night or at church. And the 23 different apps I have on my phone are the modern day version, the modern day reflection of this. Something that always happened throughout civilization. Sure, they are chat bubbles and input fields and send buttons, but they all have different languages, different vibes, different etiquette. This is why you write like a polite gentleman on LinkedIn, and then you immediately jump to creating flame and insulting people on Discord. And we need this. We need these different settings. And depending on where you live, you might do it with a different set of apps, but it doesn't matter. This is universal. So, wait a second. If the fact that we have all these different apps to communicate is not the problem, then what is it? Well, how about the fact that today you have everything, everywhere, all at once? You are connected to these all together, all the time. For my grandparents, this would have been the equivalent of being at work, at church, at the bar on Saturday night, in the town square, and having a deep conversation with a friend, all together, all at the same time. Everyone now has access to you. There's 23 different ways of reaching out to me. And not only that, the internet is instantaneous, and all these people expect a response right here, right now. This is a number that up until a few decades ago wasn't very meaningful for most people. But today, this number is what we fight with every day. It's Dunbar's number. The number of stable relationships we are cognitively able to maintain at once. And if you count all the people that you interact with online every day, they're likely to be way more than this. So even if you choose to spend your life chatting with people, there is a psychological limit to it. But all of this didn't happen because we're like, hey, let's build something overwhelming and that tires people out. No, these are side effects of something immensely positive that we should not forget about. Modern communications and the internet are great. They freed us from the need of working places like these. I can keep in touch with my friends from all around the world, build products, ideas and art, collaborate with others, and it's part of the peak form, my favorite, of human communication, which is a whole chat of memes back and forth with your best friend. But still, despite all these advantages, it's clear that the system needs to be fixed. And I don't want to go back to the telegraph or smoke signals. There must be a way. And suddenly, I found it. I found the real core problem of what's breaking communication today, and in turn, how to fix it. And I did that by giving up. Having all this inbound stuff to manage felt like another job to me. So I decided to gradually shut it down. So one by one, I started turning off notifications on my phone. LinkedIn messages? Gone. Instagram DMs? Gone. WhatsApp groups? Gone. Dating apps? Gone. All forms of email? Gone. Slack for work outside working hours? Gone. Discord? Gone. Now, I didn't quit all these apps. I just removed the notifications from my phone. And I noticed two things. First, I was finally getting back some of that feeling of being in control. I checked my Instagram DMs every 2 days, LinkedIn as well, daily for emails. I felt like I've been finally laid off from the job of replying to everything right now. But at the same time, every once in a while I did miss an important email, or some cool opportunity on my Instagram DMs, or some friend that was in town and I wasn't able to catch up with. And oh, what is that? It's an email from Skillshare. They wanted me to tell you why Skillshare is so useful. Well, take an animation like this. I learned video editing and animation years ago, but it was so painful. All the information is out there on the internet, but especially at the start, it's just hard to navigate around an endless sea of random tutorials. But Skillshare realized this, and they solved this by creating learning paths. Collections of handpicked classes in photography, graphic design, music, and more. And for all experience levels from beginners to advanced. For example, I'm at a point with guitar. Yes, this guitar, where I got past all the beginner stuff and I want to get my hands dirty with some more advanced songs and scales. I spent hours trying to find the right tutorials, but they were either too basic or too advanced. But with Skillshare, I'm taking the level up your guitar playing learning path, and I'm finally seeing a progression of topics that make sense. And trying it out is super easy. Just follow the link in the description of this video, and the first 500 people to sign up will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. But let's get back to my experiment, because when I got rid of all these notifications, that's when it hit me. That's when I understood what the true problem behind our modern communication is. It's not the fact that we have 23 different apps for communicating, because having separate spaces with different languages and cultures and etiquette has always been part of civilization. It's not even the fact that these are instantaneous and 24/7, because this is what allows us to not live in the Stone Age. No. The true problem, the one that we'll actually find a solution for, is something we all take for granted. It's notifications. Wait, what do you mean notifications? I mean, how can you do notifications differently? I get a message, I get a notification for it. It's natural, it's the way it always works. Well, this is how a calendar always worked. But if we question the assumption, we can get to something new and unexplored. Like, for example, a calendar that focuses on your free time instead of your busy one. And we can do the same with notifications. Because it doesn't take long to understand that notifications are fucking broken. Since modern smartphones have existed, with Android 1.0 and iOS 1.0, notifications were there. Actually, before iOS 5 on iPhones, there wasn't even a notification center, just annoying pop-ups. But notifications were built by iOS and Android as a one-size-fits-all way for apps to just send you stuff. Someone is invading your village, your favorite team scored, and among these, hey, a new SMS arrived. But this system is designed for the apps, not for humans communicating with each other. Notifications don't have a way to manage urgency. Everything is at the same level and it's right there, right now. Everything is a ping or a buzz. And if this gets too much, the only alternative is to turn them off and get, well, nothing. But I already hear some of you say, hey, that's not true. You can control notifications. Both Android and iOS nowadays give you control on what shows and what doesn't. And you have phone profile for work and personal life, and each app has additional settings or what is displayed and what not. And you can override them, and in Discord you can have a notification panel that overrides other notification settings, and there's toggles in the iOS and in the apps, and this is a decision tree that Slack goes through whenever it has to decide whether to send a notification or not. And at these points, I think you see the problem. This is an overcomplicated system of hundreds of toggles in the apps and in the OS, and it's just not built for humans. It's built to make the lives of the people that make the apps easier. So if this is the system that we have for 15 years, is it even possible to fix it? Well, as it turns out, this problem has already been solved. And it has been solved by the most unexpected person to appear in a tech video. Justin Bieber? Yeah, I'm not kidding, because the problem of managing communication in this digital world has already been solved by the people that have it in the most extreme form. The rich and famous. If you're a celebrity or a rich, influential person, everyone wants to get to you and ping you and buzz you, and in response to this, many celebrities have famously decided to ditch their phones altogether. Ed Sheeran said that he only uses email to communicate, and he checks it every couple of days.
Got rid of my phone as my New Year's resolution, and it's so much less stress. I don't wake up in the morning and have to answer 50 messages of people asking for stuff. It's just like, I wake up and...
Justin Bieber did the same. Now, this all sounds very romantic, and these people must be so brave to make this extreme choice and living a secluded life, but the reality is that they have one, if not two, if not 12 full-time assistants managing every aspect of their lives. So Ed Sheeran might not have a phone, but I'm sure his assistant probably has 3. But still, these people were able to solve the problem. With a very expensive and inaccessible solution, sure, but they solved it. They built a system centered around them. Ed Sheeran's assistant knows that Ed might want to collaborate with other artists, so if someone DMs him on Instagram, she would let him know. Ed Sheeran's assistant knows that he would forget to reply to important emails, so she reminds him after a few days. She would learn what he cares and what he doesn't care about. It doesn't matter if it's WhatsApp or emails or Discord DMs or which notification settings that he have. It doesn't care. He doesn't see all that. It's a system built for him. For a human. So we can use technology to replicate this system by taking the current way we handle notifications and making it human-centric. And this is not a single solution, but a collection of things that together can bring order to this madness which is chat notification. So here's a few ideas. First, let's start simple. On average, 50% of our digital communication is to one person and 90% to the top 5 people. And I got these numbers talking to a guy who works for a chat app with more than 1 billion users. So let's build directly into the notification panel a closed circle that will get prioritized notifications over everyone else. People will get added automatically to your closed circle once the system sees a constant stream of notifications from a specific sender. And also, they can get smartly removed with your confirmation if you don't interact with them for a while. And to make things easier, the system detects accounts from various apps with the same person and lets you merge them. So now that we covered the people you actually care about, we still have to manage all this other noise that comes in. The current system with 700 toggles that you have to manually define just doesn't work. Now, up to this point, all these features can be built without the system ever knowing the content of the notifications. This can all work through anonymized IDs. But if the user agrees to have the system read the content of the actual notifications, that's when we can get fancy. We can use large language AI models learning locally on your phone to transform the endless stream of notifications into something actually useful. Recommend actions. Identify the important updates from the noise. It will actually detect important messages. Recommend and take actions. Summarize that 300 messages group chat conversation. This is the real closest version to a personal assistant. Now, these are just a few examples made by a tech guy on YouTube, and they are by no means the ultimate solution. But they show that by digging into the core problem, we can solve it. We can solve it with a standard for how notifications and chat apps are handled. And I know what you're thinking. Okay, but who should actually build this? The apps themselves? Well, no. This needs to be built at system level by the 2 mobile platforms, Android and iOS, just like they built notification groups or system-wide permissions, and all the apps just had to adapt. A standard might seem like a boring answer, but in tech, this is how you get shit done. This is how you now have one USB-C cable that you can use for everything. And yeah, there's always some hiccups, like how in reality there's like a dozen types of USB-C standards, but this can help billions of people get rid of that feeling of being overwhelmed and embrace just the positives of modern communication. But there's another thing that might look very different in the future, and that's apps. Because in this very moment, there is a secret war going on. A war for the future of apps. And depending on how it ends, the tech you'll use in the future might look very, very different. And you can learn all about it in this other video right here.